Happy Rabbit podcast. We're in it. We're jumping right
is
in.
it going?
Oh yeah, we're live.
It's happening.
We're going.
All right.
I've been looking forward to this one for a minute now. I know Charles and I have been talking about bringing you guys in since we started the podcast.
Oh, cool.
But we wanted to make sure it was legit and we had everything going. We didn't want to, be stepping over our own feet. So, introduce yourselves.
Oh, I got to go first. I'm Amber. I guess I've known you guys for several years now. I do stunts and G&E and a little bit acting here in Utah, and that's my full-time job.
Yeah.
And I'm Gabe. I've been in the film industry since '98. Art department primarily, and then got into stunts because I had horses, and more after I met Amber on set, and yeah, been doing more stunts lately.
I have so many questions of, I don't even know where to get started. Like, where you guys started, how it all came together, and Charles and I love stunts. We love incorporating stunts and shots that they're probably the most fun things we do on set. Or when you guys show up, we know we're about to have a good day and see something pretty cool. So for somebody who doesn't know who a stunt person is and what they do on set, like, what is a stunt coordinator? Who is it a stunt artist or a stunt actor?
Stunt performer.
Stunt performer.
Yeah. Or it could be a stunt actor depending on like their involvement in the stunt. Sometimes they could be a key character. If you've watched any of the John Wick movies, and there's a couple of characters in there that do their own stunts and they have lines, and that would be like a stunt actor.
Okay.
Or you can have stunt doubles, those who double specific actor or, I guess, person that needs doubling. So
Those are always my favorite. One that came to mind was when we did the Lindsay Lohan movie.
Oh my goodness.
And then all of a sudden I didn't even know you were showing up that day, and I actually thought it was like Lindsay because, again, stunt double, they dress you exactly like her, dye your hair,
Dyed my
everything.
hair.
Cut it,
Yeah,
dyed
that was
the
the first
hair.
time
Oh,
I
wow.
ever dyed
Yeah.
my hair. It
Oh,
was
wow.
it was a moment.
I was so because I knew it wasn't a wig
Yeah.
either, and I was like, Lindsay, Amber? I was like, what the hell? And then next thing you know, you're getting thrown off cliffs and
Yeah.
through the ringer as you do. But explain what that's like being a stunt double.
The stunt doubling is fun. I think mostly because you get to interact with the actor themselves and get to, I guess, be the character with them. You get to show them the maneuvers and like teach them what you just had done so that they can mimic it too and like pick up where it left off or do some type of it. Sometimes you could help them with choreography depending on what you're doing. And it's like a little sneak way into getting to interact with the actor. And I'm like, oh, I really like this one. It was a lot with Lindsay because I'm a big fan of hers, and just like, how do I just like be normal and not come off as like this super fan?
Total fan.
So I gotta, it was a little bit easier because she respected me. She like came to me to ask questions, and I was like, oh, are you okay doing this? She was great too, and totally down to do her own stuff when it was necessary. And it was just like between her and some other actresses I've done too, it's pretty much the same experience. Just that comfortable interaction just kind of got me like a golden ticket,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That show in particular was a lot of fun because so she was doubling Lindsay, and then I doubled Lindsay's love interest in the show, Cord Overstreet, doing when he was driving the horse carriage.
Yep.
So that was a lot of fun that like here we are married getting to double them who were getting together in the show. It was kind of just a cute little moment.
Yeah.
That was fun. And we got to spend some time up on the mountain
That was
doing some
so
stunt
fun.
stuff and throwing
Yeah.
Amber down the hill. They brought a second unit out, and I was lucky enough to like operate on it, and Amber was getting thrown down the hill, and we were like, it was fun. I don't know how
It was a good
else
time.
to
That was a
describe
fun
it.
episode.
Besides, imagine Amber getting thrown down the hill multiple times, and then us skiing and snowboarding next to it, filming it. It was awesome.
You guys
That
were
was
so
really
good
cool.
too. It turned out really well.
Gabe, you actually brought up something interesting. Like, where is the line? Because I've wondered this myself. Where does the line draw as far as like what is considered a stunt? Because I wouldn't think that like driving a horse carriage would be a stunt.
I think at the end of the day, it's how comfortable the actor is doing whatever the action is, and how much they can control what's happening. So if you're driving a horse carriage, lots of people do it, not necessarily a dangerous thing. But if you have an actor who's never driven horses before, you've got a 1,200-pound animal. In that particular shot, there was a young girl sitting next to him in the carriage, so it's the two of them. If the horse were to run away, it could, hurt them, hurt the horse, hurt, the Lamborghinis that were there on set that day.
Yeah.
We had all the fancy cars. So something like that, not necessarily a stunt because it's dangerous for the actor to drive it if they know what they're doing, but if production decides it's going to be safer to have a double come in and it's worth the cost to do it.
Okay.
So pretty
I think.
much what they're saying is they have the coolest job on set. They get to come in and do the cool stuff that everyone wants to do, and we get to watch.
Yeah, we definitely have the best job.
I'm so
feel like I
jealous
have
every
the best
time
job.
like they're setting something up. I'm like, wait, they get to jump off the roof and like
Right.
it just looks so fun. Like,
I want to do that.
I love it. Coming from an action sports background, like you guys speak
Yeah.
my language of like, and a rock climbing background and like
Yeah.
adrenaline junkie. It's like, how can we rig someone to fly off of that and then land here and do 3 flips? All right, let's do this. It's
Okay,
like
let's
so
go.
cool. Yeah.
That's cool.
All right, I want to jump back a little bit because now that we know what a stunt person is, how did you get involved into stunts? What brought you to want to do stunts? What got you on set? What was like your first interaction that was like, this is what I want to do?
So in 7th grade, I wrote a paper on wanting to be a stuntman when I grew up.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you still
English
have
class.
it?
I don't still have it.
Oh,
I
that'd
wish
be
I
so
did. I
cool.
wish I did. Yeah, English class. We had to write a paper on what we wanted to do when we grew up. So I wrote a paper on wanting to be a stuntman. Got into the film industry in '98 through my uncle, who was a decorator.
Okay.
And so I grew up in the art department.
Is that here in Utah?
Yep, in
Who's
Utah.
your uncle?
Ivan Saunders. He passed away this last year.
Okay.
So, gosh, my first show came out in theaters. It Drive Me Crazy. It had Sabrina the Teenage Witch. What's her name? Melissa
So
Joan
your
Hart.
your first show you worked on was in theaters?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
you got to like go and watch it on the big
Yep.
screen and that's
Yeah.
pretty
That's
cool.
cool.
Really neat. And then did a bunch of Disney Channel stuff through the early 2000s. I bought a farm in 2000 and had horses and chickens. So that's how I got into it. I had horses and could ride, and met Frank Bear on set and was like, hey, if you ever need someone to fall off a horse or ride a horse or whatever, and just kind of hustled my way with him. And he gave me a shot on a show. I was playing a sheriff, and I had to like shoot a guy and get shot and rear the horse up. And that was like being like my first big stunt and having it be such a big thing. Like it was definitely trial by fire. It was like the finale of the movie. There's like townspeople with pitchforks and torches, and we lit the side of a building on fire. Roundies were there, and so it was like all the things all at once. And now I have to like get in front of the camera in the middle of the night because it's always night shoots, right?
Always.
When all that
Right.
happens, and like do my first big stunt ever, and
That is so
like
cool.
the most nerve wracking.
That's so cool, and I'm sure there's a bunch of people watching. All the pressure's on.
Oh
and
yeah,
it's like
for sure.
you feel like this is either gonna make it in the industry or like then I'm never gonna set foot in the
Yeah.
industry again, kind of thing.
But Frank, you kind of asked the question earlier about like what a stunt coordinator is, or what's the difference between a stunt coordinator and a stunt performer. And Frank was the coordinator on that, and he was really amazing to work with because it was like I was a ball of nerves being my first big stunt like that. I'm in front of the whole crew, middle of the night, and the first take I totally flopped it, like 100%. Like my timing was off. I like the squib, like my reaction to the squib of the gunshot wasn't timed right. The horse didn't rear. Like I'm trying to get this animal to go up, and I mean it was just and he cut, cut, and he comes over and he's just like, okay, breathe, like, relax. And as a coordinator, like I think, obviously they have the job of like making sure everything is safe and coordinating how things play out, but he's got to work with us like the director works with actors, right? And get us into the right headspace and into the right frame of mind to be able to do it. And so we did a couple of rehearsals, and he kind of calmed me down and got me in the right place, and then we were able to get it done. But
a lot of the time
was
it's
5
really
takes.
impressive because you guys are just stepping onto set in a world that you haven't been involved in for the last few weeks, and like
Yeah.
you may not know where the actor's mindset is and like where they're at in the story.
For
And
sure.
So I think that's really cool. It's really important for the coordinator to really like connect the dots for you and be that like perspective.
Absolutely.
It's also,
Absolutely.
I'm sure, a lot easier too when you have Frank Bear as
Yeah, let's just
the
say
guy
shout out
helping you.
Frank, like OG. I love when names like Frank and the Roundies and things come up in conversations because it's like those people are such a staple in the Utah or even in
sure.
the film industry in general, and it's just cool to see how much influence they have and how your influence trickles down and like then the next generation. It's really cool.
Yeah. I felt very fortunate to meet Frank so young and get to work with him.
Yeah,
for
you
sure.
met him
That's
before
cool.
I did.
Yeah.
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 All right, Amber, your turn.
My turn. Well, it's a long origin story. I don't even know how I like convinced myself to get into doing a background featured extra. That's kind of where it started.
Oh, I was an
because-
extra back in the day. Shout
you?
out $75. Hanging out all day with shitty snacks.
Hey,
Gotta do
I've learned to work for food a lot of the time. It's good food sometimes. So I did
Sometimes the lunches are
that,
good.
and it was from there that I got like somehow transplanted onto a genie crew for Hereditary. I met some genie from Hallmark, and they're like, "Oh, come be a grip." Like,
Wait, I want
"Sure."
to talk about that real quick. 'Cause
Yeah?
I think you're brushing over it. I think that's huge for somebody who may be trying to figure out to like get onto set. It's their first time. They say, "Where do I start?" They get on as an extra, which is pretty
Yes,
common because
it
they
is.
just want to get on set. What was that from being an extra to actually getting onto crew? Was that you stepping out and meeting people? Was it, like, what were those conversations like?
Yeah, it was completely out of my comfort zone because I was a very shy person, and I had I'm thinking he was a first AD. I didn't know anything about film and who like role was what, and I had to go from A to B, and the guy's like, "Oh, do something a little more extra." And I was like, "But I'm supposed to just look like a normal person walking." Like, excuse me. I felt like that would kind of make it a little awkward, and he just laughed about it. He's like, "Okay, you're fine." And then he's like, "Well, come and check out a set with me if you're interested in doing this." And I think I had a conversation like amongst him, around him, because I think he was like a background wrangler. Maybe that's why I had the interaction I did. And he just like I was glowing because being on set is so much fun, even as like a background, like that's your intro mostly to it. Like and when you're like core crew and like working in the crew, that's completely different than acting and extra work. In my experience, because I've done both.
Nonetheless, being on set is fun.
It
And you can tell,
is,
like,
yeah.
if someone's an extra or they're the director, if they have that energy, you can tell.
Definitely, definitely. And then if you're just happy to be there, you enjoy the industry, you enjoy movies. It's kind of almost like a magical feeling being on set. And so I probably just glowed a little more than most people because I get way over happy when I'm in situations that I'm like just a little much on the energy spectrum. But I felt that kind of I would pass as charisma and was like, well, you should come on set more often. So he got me onto a set like Deidre and Lainey Rob a Train kind of a thing, and I wasn't getting paid for it. I was just kind of on set checking it out. And then from there I met a grip guy. It's kind of like networking. It's huge. That's what the whole industry is about, is just like networking and putting yourself out there and talking to the people and making like your I guess excitement and desire to be in the industry in whatever capacity. It just kind of clicks with them, and some people feel like, hey, we'll give them a chance, and we have this opening. It comes into between being charismatic and kind of luck, like being in the right place at the right time. If there's
Totally.
someone who's willing to open up and kind of get you in and to be like, well, now see where you go from there. I had ample of opportunities because being on Deidre and Lainey, I met the grip crew, and they are teasing me about like lifting a sandbag, and I did it, and they're like, wow, she's really strong. And so then I got the offer, and it was just a random phone call because I had given them my information because they had a daughter who needed to like help shopping for their school like school clothes. It was just the randomest like adventure to like, yeah, I'll come and work with you. And then from there, just I went on the set of Hereditary, and that was like my first job, and worked on it full time, and met the like not stunt coordinator, but one of the stunt players on that from there too. And that kind of spiraled me into stunts because he's like, oh, I happen to have a girl that came in from the Netherlands who looks just like you and he needs a double next week. Just complete luck. And
And did you have
That's cool.
did you have action sports background, or like what led you to believe that you could be a stunt person? Were you just on set and like anything to get on set? You're like,
Throw me off that
well,
roof.
I was just like dived into the grip world, and so like just everything in this like movie was so exciting from because we were in the Park City Studios, so there was this home that was built out in there, and it's just like studios that was like built out all the different rooms, and they were so well done. Everybody was so professional. I was in the deep end for sure, and I was just trying to stay focused and learn what I could because I didn't have any experience in that, and they were just like telling me all these things to do, and it's speaking a foreign language because I'm like, what is a C stand? What is a sand leg? Like there's like no connection between my previous life and being on set that day that made me feel like I was even qualified.
oh, I love that. So you're just
Yeah.
you're baptism by fire.
100%.
But I guess so. Being as when I see stunt people, I'm like, okay, they had to have done years of training to, I don't know, most likely an action sports background or horse riding or something that's like in athletic, but you get beat up kind of thing. And like people like it, like rock climbers, you
coming
get
back?
slammed
Yeah.
against the wall, and
Yeah.
it's like hell yeah, like they can take it kind of thing. What led you to believe that like stunts were gonna be good for you?
I didn't even know.
You
I
jumped
just saw Eliza and her daughter doing these crazy stunts on this set of Hereditary, and I just kind of am a sponge for everything and all the knowledge and all the things that people are doing. And I went to school and I played sports the whole time. So I come from a sporty athletic background. I did like Hapkido Taekwondo in college.
Because I just want you to
yeah.
know it's not normal for people to look at a roof and go, I want to jump off of it.
That's true. That is true.
It isn't.
I mean,
But you guys show up on set and you're like, what's the highest thing and the craziest landing?
there was so much about the industry that I didn't know of. But in my mind, like stunt people were superheroes. Like that's how you get into stunts. You're a superhero.
You just have to be a
and,
superhero.
Yeah. And as a kid, I was very into like reenacting movies with my siblings. Like I could
Okay.
like memorize all the lines and we do all the action sequences. For some reason, I chose to be the animals most of the time instead of like the cool warriors, which I guess makes it easier for me to do all the creature work that I do now. It's just so natural to me. All the growling and the crawling, all the things, right?
That's cool.
So I didn't even see stunts as a job that was even attainable unless you were somebody in the profession already. But it wasn't until I was watching them do that and I met Corbett, one of the stunt guys on set, and I was just kind of picking his brain about the stunts a little bit. And when I did get the phone call the week after. It was like, hey, this is something, if you want to do it, you can try it out. And another baptism by fire. Like the first thing they had me doing was getting blown through a wall on a ratchet in the
Like
middle
full
of nowhere
ratchet
at full
through
ratchet.
a wall.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
then doing like a
Jerk
crash
fest.
landing into my face and getting drug. And I was like, I didn't die, and I loved it. It was exhilarating, and I've always been like into like skydiving, and like I've only done it a couple times, but all the adrenaline stuff, not the dangerous adrenaline, but more just like climbing trees and going on cliffs and I guess dreaming about flying all the time. You know, just not connected to anything, just flying. Like I was always, it was just in my genetics and my blood to kind of fall into this, no pun intended, and keep doing it because it seemed to fit so well with my my personality, and I built pretty strong, and so my specialty, I guess, is crashing, like wrecks. Like
Yeah.
I can fall,
Yeah.
I can get blown up, I can get tossed around, and I don't break easy. So yeah. I don't think I've broken anything yet in stunts. I've been pretty lucky. So
Oh,
That's
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I am genuinely jealous of like what you guys do. Like being from action sports and like as I was a kid, like it was literally going to gymnastics and like they train you to like jump off tramps and then like roll out of it and like to crash fall and everything. And I'm like, if I wasn't behind the camera, I would want to be getting blown up, like the John Wick stunts, the
Yeah.
gun
Oh, that
things.
would
Like
be
I
great.
would, I would eat that up. So purely jealous. Do you have any questions?
Can we do some like more like John Wick movies in Utah? You know, like can we do some like
let's bring them in.
Yes,
shoot
please.
'em action?
Yes, please.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I definitely. Well, we contacted Gabe and we're like, hey, can we light you on fire and put you on a motorcycle? And he's like, yes.
Yes.
So like we have ideas of fun things we want to do with
Yeah.
these guys. We just got to do
Yes,
We
we
keep
definitely
doing
got to do
Hallmark
it.
movies. Can we do some like Spike TV? Is that what it's called now?
Yeah,
Is that,
yeah.
Yeah.
it. No, we definitely should. We need to get more like actiony, like gunfighting, war. I'm surprised more war movies don't happen here with our deserts and everything.
Mm.
I think I think it's
Yeah,
Spike
I don't
TV or Sci-Fi. I don't remember. I think it was Spike TV that we've done things like Mythica and
Oh, okay.
Out
Yeah, Outpost.
Post, right? What
Yeah,
was-
Outpost
what was
was
that?
CW.
CW. Oh, CW.
Mm.
Okay. Yeah, I think we've got a couple of things. I don't know. We haven't quite
We definitely
drawn
need
everything
to get out of
in
the
yet.
Hallmark Christmas
Yes.
movies in Utah and get into the action fun
Like,
stuff.
let's
for
make
Yeah,
sure
it's a
real
hard.
Yeah.
Let's get some more westerners. Let's get some more horseback
Right.
gunfights. Let's get some shootouts happening in towns with people falling off
Yeah.
balconies.
Yeah.
And that'd be sweet.
Yeah, that was my introduction, and I haven't been able to do it since.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
first show
I think
got to
we
do
just
the.
figured out what we're gonna
Yeah.
do
Okay,
next.
sounds good.
That's awesome.
What's like the not lifespan, but lifespan of a stunt person? Like because eventually your body can only do it for so
You wear
long,
out.
right? And
Yeah.
like for me, like I know probably have like 15 to 20 years of Steadicam left before I probably shouldn't do it anymore, right? And so
Yeah.
like what is like the average
You know, on
runtime?
average, I don't know amongst like stunt performers in general. I think a lot of it just depends on how you're built. Like Amber was saying, she's built pretty stout. Like she can take a pounding, she can do the falls and not get hurt. You know, a lot of people have, I guess, more brittle bones, right? They
Yeah.
break easier, and I think to be a successful stunt performer, part of that is, you know, being able to take those hits. I mean, a lot of it is learning how to fall, like you're saying, right? You learn how to tumble and you learn how to roll out of things and minimize the impact on your body. But gosh, you know, by the time you get in your late 50s, like your bones just get weak.
Yeah.
A lot of our coordinators who I work with now, they talk about that. It's like, well, I'm not going to be falling. Like, that's your job is to fall. Like,
Yeah.
I'll coordinate it.
You're the
So if
young
you-
Done
person.
falling.
Yeah, I think that's the next transition is from like stunt performer to coordinator.
So
Um,
I
Yeah,
guess you're
totally.
answering my
Totally.
question, but do you see many stunt people in their older ages, or are most older actors that have a stunt double? Do they just make a younger person look older? Did that make sense?
Oh, sure.
That is common as far as I've seen.
Like, say a grandma's falling down a stairs in a movie. Would
You've
they
done
make
that.
Would they make you look like the grandma,
Yes.
or would they bring in a older stunt
Um,
lady?
They definitely make me look older.
Okay.
Without crossing too many lines, right? But in general, the risk for injury increases the older you get. So
Yeah.
Which makes sense. So the
they
most
definitely do.
likely they're trying to keep stunt people younger.
yeah,
Well, and a lot of that is how you take care of yourself too,
Precisely,
right? Like
yeah.
you've got to have good nutrition. You have to condition your body. You have to work out. Like you can't just hang out and play video games and then go throw yourself off a building, you know, or you know, like your motorcycle. Like you can't. You have to train for that in order to be able to take those kinds of impacts. And
What is the training regimen of a stunt person? Like, are you training stunts on your off days? Like, do you wake up in the morning and you're like, hey, and you roll down the stairs
5:30,
real
let's
quick?
do
and
this.
then-
well, we got up at 5:30 this morning and worked out before we came here. But yeah, like our house is pretty fun. Having us both be into it, like we're always like
I'm just
fighting and
picturing,
kicking
like-
and punching each other. And
I'm picturing crash pads at the bottom of the stairs
Yeah.
and then like
Oh,
falling
yeah.
backwards for fun.
yeah,
there
Yeah.
is a lot of that. There is a lot of bouts, friendly bouts in the kitchen and all around the house, just, toughen your body up, like side shots and all that.
Do you ever get some like fake glass and just walk up behind him and give him?
I haven't done that. I have had to come home and he's like laid blood rugs down and acts like he's just been like, I come home to a murder scene.
Yeah, I did that.
It's always an adventure.
That's
Something's
so
happening.
awesome. My wife would kill me.
And if it wasn't him giggling, then I probably would have been a little more concerned.
You can see his like little smirk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to play dead with some blood rugs.
That's awesome.
That's what I'd be in the kitchen, like making sugar glass. I mean,
Right.
like, wife's coming home today, I'm gonna hit her with all this stuff.
Yeah.
You guys should make a TikTok where you don't let anyone know you're stunt coordinators and like stunt people.
Dude,
and
that's the next one.
Oh
that's
my
the next rock
goodness.
video.
That's
We're
fun.
gonna
Yes.
throw glass at each other.
Okay, have you guys seen it? We had a video go viral because Charles decided I'm on set, we're on set, and I'm pulling focus and I'm right by a monitor and thousands of dollars worth of gear with the
Sure.
camera right next to me. And Charles takes a rock
Oh yeah.
and throws it at me, and I didn't know what it was, but like hits me in the head, and I'm like, oh, and like played it off, and like kind of as soon as it hit me, I like played into what was happening, and then
After we did it like 3 or 4 times. But
Yeah.
we did.
Wow.
Take
Oh.
one. Take
'Cause I
two.
missed
Take
the
two.
first couple
Oh.
times.
I think you showed some of those bloopers too.
no, you hit me with it when we weren't filming.
Yeah, and
It
then
hit
you're like,
me,
"We
and
should
then
do
I'm
it
like,
again."
we gotta film this. And so then we like turned it into a whole skit, and needless to say, everyone online thought it was real, and Charles was getting hate
Yes.
messages.
No way.
Like-
Oh yeah.
Like multiple a day of people
Really?
being
Yeah.
like, you can't treat your crew like this. Like Scooter's your friend and you're hurting him, and
oh
like
my gosh.
personal shit
Yeah.
at Charles.
Like if I
Wow.
was the first AC, I would have told you to F yourself, and then
Yeah.
I would have walked up to the producer and had you fired. Like all this, like
I would
Yeah.
have been in HR's
crazy
office
stuff.
within
Like all
the
these people
hour.
are going off,
Bro,
and I'm
it's
like,
a foam rock.
we're on a
It's
film
awesome.
set. Like
Yes.
you really think I'm gonna throw a rock at my friend? Like
Next to the camera.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So
Wow.
needless to say, if you guys ever want to come play fake stunts,
All
we
the
wanna do
time,
this.
yes.
Absolutely.
we want to do a series now of like dumb like TikTok videos where
Yeah.
we like just throw stuff at each other.
like
or
the shots
random
out of
people,
focus,
you
and
know?
Charles comes up and breaks a glass on my head.
Yeah.
Or something.
I think I've got some breakaway
You
bottles
do.
I can bring over.
That'd
I've been
fun.
meaning
It'd be
to
fun.
learn how to make them too, so that we can have just like a stash. 'Cause
Yeah.
They're not cheap.
And I just
They're
want to
not
throw this
cheap.
out there.
Yeah.
Charles and I are always down. If you guys ever want to like just film a random stunt at your house, we'll come film it. We love
Excellent.
that stuff.
We have one that's in the works that we'll have to discuss off camera and off mic
I
that,
love
that
that.
we want to do. That's
It's so much fun.
that I think it's a pretty fun one.
Let's
So
do-
Cool
Yeah.
things coming, guys. Cool
Yeah.
things coming.
Yeah.
So for somebody watching and they're like, this is what I have been wanting to do. Maybe they're fresh into film school. Maybe they're just doing action sports, or maybe they ride horses at their house. What's some advice you could give to someone who wants to get into film, wants to get into stunts?
Oh man, you've got to hustle. You've got to be, I think, friendly. You've got to be humble, and you've got to just be a all-around good person to hang out with. Because at the end of the day, like, I mean, we've all known each other for years, and we've all met that person on set that just doesn't fit in or vibe with everybody because they've got a chip on their shoulder, or they've got too much ego, or they think they're the best. And I think the people that stay around are the ones that are genuinely good people that we enjoy hanging
Fun to be
around.
Whether you're an extra or a director,
Yeah.
if you're bringing that energy, people gravitate towards it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you got
I
to
think
keep
so.
it up. I think that's another thing is a lot of people don't understand the hours and the sacrifices that you
Yeah.
put into being in the industry. It's not an easy industry at all. Like you're here at least 12 hours a day on average to 15
At
days,
least,
you know,
yeah.
depending on
I feel like
production.
it's even harder here in Utah, you know, because
Yeah.
there's like I feel like there's an abundance of people that like want to be in the industry, which is everywhere, but
Yeah.
then there's like
Sure.
our industry in Utah is so small,
Yeah.
though too, you know,
Yes.
and so
Everyone's
it's like,
fighting over the same
Yeah,
one movie that comes into town every 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
exactly.
Very rare do we have 2 movies going on at the same time.
And
Yeah.
so I feel like the hustle here is like way more than it is in
Mm-hmm.
other places where there's like you
Yeah,
know, more
more
opportunity.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. But there's been a lot of people that that I've really liked and enjoyed working with, that they were like, yeah, dude, like, I don't want to work that hard. Like, I don't, I don't want to do those
want a
hours.
life, I want a
like, I want to
family.
go home and see my
Exactly.
family. And that's real. Like, I mean, we're gone a lot. It's a lifestyle more, I think, than a job as far as being in the film industry. So I think if
Yeah.
someone's trying to come in, they need to understand that that's what it is. It is
Right.
kind of a lifestyle. It's going to be what you do.
Yeah, and I'd say the idea of it gets easier isn't the case. If like it's a 12-hour day, your next day maybe 14 hours.
Yeah.
It's not like it's not like a
Consistency.
normal job where like things sometimes do get easier. Most likely before it gets easier, it gets harder in film.
Yeah.
At least is my experience.
I think you just get used to it.
Or you
It
get
doesn't
more-
get
we get
easier.
used
You
to
just
it,
get
yeah.
you just get numb. You just get numb.
It's like with night shoots, right? Night shoots are the bane of my
Oh.
existence. I'm sure they are for everybody,
Yeah,
right?
the
I
worst.
effing hate night shoots.
Yeah.
But it's like once you make that switch over to it, you're like, well, we're here, we're in it. Like, let's go.
Yeah, lean
like,
into it.
You just get used to it.
Yeah.
And on the fact of how much sacrifice and everything it takes, I think you should realize if you're trying to get into stunts, kind of like acting though, but it's not all what it seems to be. You may be standing for 6 hours the day. You may be in the cold. I've seen like so many situations where like you guys are like underdressed. It's freezing outside. It's like
Yeah.
you may be getting doused with water multiple times in the middle of the night, and it's like I want no business in that world. I'm perfectly fine in my big puffy jacket
Right.
behind the camera, kind of thing. So
Amber gets thrown into that a lot.
Yeah.
Women in film generally are dressed more revealing or more scantily
that's
clad.
Less places
She
to
ends
hide.
up like
Yeah.
in a mini skirt and a tank top, having to jump out of a semi truck and in the middle of winter or whatever. Like,
Right.
that's very true.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that as far as how men can hide pads way
Yeah.
easier, and like women are more exposed to where you can't necessarily wear a big bodysuit.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot of just taking it for the team. At that point. Just-
The first,
Only
one thing that just came into my mind was the first movie we worked together on was it Give Me Your Eyes or Hunting Ava Bravo?
Haunting her problem.
And
Oh,
there was
gosh.
a snowmobile scene, and they're they were crashing a snowmobile, and then they shoot it twice, and the director's like, "Yeah, it was good," and Amber goes, "You want me to flip it?" He's like, "No, like we're not trying to flip the snowmobile right now," like.
Because it was his snowmobile.
But I just
Oh, was
remember
it?
Amber going from like
That's mine.
a
we
small
rented
little
it.
like crash into the tree to like let's build a jump and then we could flip it sideways and crash the whole snowmobile and like turn into this whole elaborate thing. I'm like, well, that's stunt people for you.
But it's funny that you mention that, because that is a part of it. Like, the script will oftentimes have something written, and then when the stunt team comes on, whether it's the day before or on the day, it's like, well, we could change it and do this instead, or excuse me, it's if we did the action this way, it could play a lot better, or let's increase it. Like, you wrote this, which is cool, but on camera is going to look kind of piddly and not very amazing. But if we took it a step farther and did this or that, then it could play better to camera. It could look like a bigger stunt than it actually is, or
No, I think it's huge for the director and stunt coordinator to like work hand in hand, because a lot of the times the director, like the stunt coordinator, works with you guys all the time, has a personal relationship
Yeah.
with you. The director doesn't know that Amber's cool flipping a snowmobile and like wants to do that, and so
Right.
like to have that communication.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
Do you guys get prep days? I don't. Like, is that
not as much as we
is that
should
a
get.
thing? Okay.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
are some times that we do, like on Give Me Your Eyes. You guys were on that
Yeah.
one. Corbett and I and some of the other guys were able to rehearse a few things.
Okay.
Basically giving the director an idea of what they're asking could look like, going through the whole scenario. So that kind of is like a prep day, but on film, like on the day, it kind of changes a lot. So it's
Yeah,
hard
I'm
to
sure.
kind of gauge.
that's a
what
good
you're
question
doing.
though, because I was always wondering, like, are you guys actually figuring it out on the day when you're stepping on set, or are they
Sometimes.
giving you a lot of the parameters of the shot?
We generally know the parameters, but we don't get a lot of the prep days that a lot of the crew gets. So, they're not bringing us in a week ahead of time, putting us on payroll where we get to go through all this. It is definitely more
Yeah.
like the day before,
Yeah.
or on the day. Like we're shooting that afternoon, so we're in that morning, and we've got 6 hours to put this thing together before we have to do it.
Yeah.
Because it is like such a collaborative thing. Like in my brain, I'm like, well, you guys should be there like on the scout. Like you
Yeah.
should like
Yeah.
talk about all the stuff that you're doing beforehand, so that way like like
we could crash the car better if we shot on this side of the
Right.
road versus this side.
And if you're
stuff like
talking
that.
big stuff like car crashes, yeah, like there's, we're in on the scout, we're discussing all of that. More time goes into some of those bigger ones. Like when we rolled the truck, like there was a lot of buildup that went into that. But if it's just you're coming in and you're gonna fall down the stairs or fall off this
Yeah.
thing or wreck the snowmobile, that's just day of.
That's awesome.
The whole jumping out of the semi, that was just it's like
Yeah.
I don't even get to rehearse it. Just see ya.
go do it. You get one take.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know everybody has the days where they're not feeling good, and like a lot of the times, I can cover Charles or Charles can cover me, and we can kind of pick up each other's slack if it's a bad day, right? But as a stunt person, if you're not having a good day and they say, hey, you're jumping out of a semi truck, you kind of just like, you have to do it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of one of
You
those.
learn a lot of mental metal. Like you have to really just channel a lot of the stuff that, as far as like even doing another shot, another take, like, hey, you're exhausted, maybe you hurt your hand, maybe something else happened during the first couple takes and now you have to do it over again. Like you just have to channel so much to get, and that's kind of what the difference between people who want to do stunts and people who like do stunts is just like how much you're willing to put your body through and be able to do it well and like to the best of your ability every single time. There's, I think in my mind, as far as like people wanting to get into the industry, as far as stunts goes, you have to know so much goes into like your safety and just like
Yeah.
being alive, I guess, when you're doing these stunts, because even something so simple can be the end of it. It can ruin your career if you break a knee, if you like do something a little more serious, to take you out for months and months at a time. And then
For sure.
if you're not mentally like there in the mind, like you can't get over that. Sometimes you'll be afraid to do stuff. I know some people who've had issues with like being not asphyxiated, just like having a hard time breathing in masks that kind of are more like afraid of that. And so you kind of have to learn to get over a lot of mental stuff, even like being like ready to do the stunt and you like rehearsed it like on the day, like it gets intense. So you have to like go through those emotions, because if like you're not afraid to do something, you probably shouldn't do it, because it might get you, like if you're not afraid to die, if you're not afraid to get hurt, like you probably are in a dangerous spot to do a stunt. But preparation is key. Like you're either born into it, you marry into it, you get really lucky, or you're like ridiculously good at some specific thing like skydiving or something, like those kind of skills. And I was a more of the like got lucky kind of a thing, right place, right time, being on set and being willing to do it. But my skill set only started getting more like useful and I guess more applicable when I went to stunt school. And that's something that I recommend for people who are looking into getting into stunts, is that will put you through the ringer and you'll see exactly what you're getting into, because it
made
is
for it or
so
not.
intense. It is like the one I went to was in LA, and it's the Stunt Performers Academy, and it's a 3-week, almost a month long, very, very intense school.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Is that
the
something that you like
curriculum.
apply to and then get accepted into it, or is it like something where you just like anybody can go, you pay the money, kind of a deal? And
You just pay the money and go. I think.
That's awesome.
you get your certification.
I'm
at the
thinking
end
Yeah.
of that Kevin
stunt
Hart
school.
movie.
Yeah.
Have you guys
Oh my
seen
gosh,
it?
yes.
Where he like goes there to become a badass again because he's sick of doing like comedy movies.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
that's awesome. I just think of some crazy stunt
That's
school
a
where you're
funny
like
one.
waking up to like gunshots and you're like running out.
It's not the military, or is it?
Right. Less fun than that movie.
Less fun than that.
Yeah, than that movie. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever been more sore in my life on a day-to-day basis than I was in stunt school. And it's like you're learning so much in just 3 weeks time.
And you're getting beat up so many
Yeah,
different ways all
like,
day long.
all the things that you
I
every
bet
day.
might
that physical
encounter.
exhaustion is just
You have
like,
to go from
brutal.
like,
But that's a lot of the job too. I've been on stunts with horse stuff where me and another guy were riding out of town. It was supposed to be just like a full gallop on these horses out of town. and I think we did, I don't know, like 2 takes, and it was the third take we were on. His horse got a little feisty, and we're at a full run, and his horse decides she's not running anymore and just drops a shoulder and sent him right over the horse's head, like full scorpion, like on his face,
Oh,
heels
gosh.
at the back of his head, just sliding to a stop. And I ended up having to chase his horse down with my horse, and he's like picking himself up and dusting off, and his face is all road rashed, and the director's like, "Can we do another take?" It's like, holy
course.
shit, man! Like, and he's like, "Okay, like, yes, but we're doing it right now. Like, there's no like pause, reset. Like,
Yeah,
dude,
don't
like,
wanna think about it.
like, yeah, like this is gonna start hurting really bad.
Right.
Like, we'll do another take, but like it has to happen right now." And he got back on the horse, and we did another take, and we got the shot, and he's like, "I'm out." Like, he was done. Like, that was
That to me
face
is
is
when stunts
swelling.
go like that. That's like stunts on a whole nother level, because then there's uncontrollable variables.
Right.
Because I think stunts is it's a risk of how much things you have control of and how many variables you can like minimize the risk with,
For sure.
and then how you can cheat that with a camera. But like something like that, I think like, I don't know, anytime they bring animals on set, like we just did a movie with a grizzly bear, and I was like,
Oh, wow.
I have no sense in like that kind of shit. Like I don't trust animals. Like I do in a like loving companion way, but not on set when there's like all these cameras and people and random things and they're not in their environment.
Yeah,
You know
well,
what I'm
because
saying?
they're
Like-
freaking out a little bit too. Like,
Yeah.
they're not used to any of that. It's like a bear.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude, they're feeding this bear
Cookies.
honey buns and
Yeah,
cookies.
honey
on set.
Honey buns.
Yeah.
I know that bear.
Were
I worked
you
with
on
him
that
once.
set?
No, I
Did
wasn't
you?
on that one, but I saw some like BTS and
Yeah.
I think the actor did
he's
her own
good.
stunts on that when she got dragged out.
Wow.
No,
Something.
they brought somebody in. They had
Oh, one girl. You guys know her.
why can I not think of her face right now?
they're McAllister. Is she local?
Yeah, she was on. Was it not Mythica? I don't know.
Oh, McKella?
Is it Michaela?
McKella?
Blonde hair?
McAllister?
I don't know.
I don't
Melanie.
My brain's not
No.
working.
I have the face.
I don't know.
Right here.
I can't even remember stunts on that movie right now.
Anyway, you were
Right, it all
awesome.
blends together.
You were great.
Yeah.
Love you.
Love that.
It's been too long since I've been on a movie.
it all
I'm
blurs.
just kidding. Okay, before we wrap it up though, I want to hear your favorite 2 stunt stories.
Man, do you want to go first?
Well, I don't know if you're going to say the same thing I am. Mine's my wedding day. I'm sorry, our wedding day.
Yeah.
Cool.
Please tell more.
It went
But
viral.
It did.
nice.
Accidentally, unfortunately. It was a really neat. We had never done fire stunts prior to that. I've always wanted to. I was supposed to go back to LA for my school and do a fire burn there, but because of COVID, I got like postponed. And so then I decided I wanted to have, if I was going to get married, I wanted to have it, my way and like encompass what I do and what I love. And Gabriel was so into it, and he wanted me to like bring it down a little bit from like jumping off the balcony and like
She wanted like a full
I did.
stunt
I-
wedding.
yeah,
She's
I
wanna
talking like
hear it. I wanna hear
shootouts. I'm like,
Yeah, that's
still
awesome.
I mean, it
getting
was a whole
married.
production. I was into it. Definitely toned it down and settled on a fire burn, doubles fire
Yeah, we
burn.
toned it down.
So,
We were just gonna light
yeah.
each other on fire.
Yeah.
and say,
Yeah.
it was for
Mellow.
timing. It worked better, as, like prepping and all of that. And we for like a month.
Yeah, it's a wedding
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
You only have a million things to stress about, let alone
I had no idea.
stunts.
Oh my gosh, that was the least of my stress that day. Like I was in knots all day long because it's a lot. Like there's so much going on. I barely remember the day. The only time I was just like relaxed was
Being on fire.
Doing it
We had rehearsed it for like
We
6
did,
months
for
prior.
6 months
That
prior,
wasn't
yeah.
like, I mean, that was our first time doing a burn, but it wasn't like that day wasn't our first burn.
No.
We had prepped for 6 months, to do
Yes.
that. So that was definitely
Yeah.
like the most calm part of the whole wedding
it
day.
was so
That's
nice.
awesome.
That's really cool.
We knew
that's cool.
exactly what to do, what was
But
going to happen.
explain the burn more. So, like, what happened? You
Yeah. So there was a set time after everybody had eaten and everything that we would put on some music that was all like fire related. It was totally corny.
For our
Love it.
send-off.
And it just basically cued everybody that something was happening. It's like, where are all these fire related songs coming on? And then we had like a little bulletin board that had like the different events of the day, and it was like surprise. And it was basically that we would go all outside and get ready in front of them and show them the process of the nature of our work, basically, and how a production kind of gets ready and executes the burn. And so we were out there, we got all gelled up, we had all the layers, everybody got a watch, and then
We had our stunt team
we had our
there.
stunt team who had been practicing with us months prior, and then I had my brothers be part of our our fire line. We call it a
Fire
fire
line.
line.
Yeah.
And so they got to hold some of the extinguishers too, and be kind of at the points that we would get put out, so they could be involved, because we didn't have like your traditional, what do you call it, like
We didn't have-
line, like a wedding line.
Bridesmaid,
This was
groomsmen,
our
we had
line
a
was
fire
our
fire
line,
line.
Yeah,
Oh,
there
that's
was a lot of
safety.
so like it was nice to be able to involve them in that. And then they hooked us up. The roundies were there, and they
Yeah.
hooked us up with some squibs, and off we went
That-
down
that's
and did
awesome.
they had an
We had to file
announcement. Yeah,
permits
you
and
So
have
did.
the fire
did the
department
I
there,
do's
yeah.
happen before the fire
Yes.
ignition?
Yeah, he was
Okay.
stuck. There's
So
no
you knew
getting
if you
out.
messed up the fire ignition, at least you were married.
That's right.
Right, yeah, that part was handled already. So for our send off, yeah, it was. And then our DJ ended up posting the video
Yeah.
of it, and that's what went viral. And
Oh,
so
no kidding.
we left, the next day on our honeymoon, and our phones start blowing up like, oh my gosh, you're all over the internet. You're on Jimmy Kimmel. You're on Bill Maher. You're on
No way.
like
Yeah.
all these different things, and we're just like, yeah, we're just trying to like go on our honeymoon and not
Can we
talk
do
about
this
you
later?
people
Nope.
right now.
You're
I want to say it
"Guys, this is
hijacked
what we
the wedding."
do for a living.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, we
That's
definitely
cool.
like stopped between the times to take videos and do interviews with everybody. So
Yeah.
it
Kind of hijacked. the
yeah,
honeymoon
but
a
it
little
was exciting from
But it
the
was fun.
beginning to till now. Like now we're just thinking of what the next thing's going to be, and we have some ideas that we need to talk about.
So
as
what would be your
like a-
second favorite?
Well, you have to go for yours.
Okay.
That was pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't know
I
know
like
if
that.
you can top that.
Yeah. I mean, and I share that one. That's definitely my top one. I think my second would be this last year. I got to roll a big 1-ton Ford diesel truck.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
That was really cool. Pipe ramp and full
that was for
containment.
Dark
seat.
Highway?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I saw that.
Were you there on that night?
I wasn't
or-
there. No, I saw the behind the scenes stunt stuff, and then I saw the movie too. But
Gotcha. Yeah, that was my first time doing a full roll. We got to do a bunch of truck stuff, and bashing and smashing and precision driving and that sort of thing. But kind of the finale on that was getting to roll that big truck, and that was intense. Ton of fun.
That has to be
That's
the
cool.
coolest thing, to just destroy like hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of stuff and then just walk away from the day knowing that.
Well, and it was big, lifted. It had like 54-inch tires on
cool
it,
truck,
like this
yeah.
huge
Sick.
monster truck,
Yeah.
and then just get to tumble it, and it got done, and it was like bent. The body's facing this way, and the chassis facing this way, and
That is awesome.
beat the heck out of it. But
That was a
So when they do
scary-
something like
Yeah.
that, are they
Yeah.
going in and building out like a full roll cage and speccing it out, obviously, to like be crashed?
yeah, so full roll cage, removed all the interior, bolted down like a full NASCAR containment seat, 5-point harness. I have a Hans device on, all the things.
Because like I've done some of the stuff with Nitro Circus, and they
Yeah.
jumped the semi, and that was like the close. I'm like thinking about that, but thinking about it flipping and how much cooler that would have been. But but yeah, they did the same thing, and they like fully spec'd it out, and I was like, no way you would ever attempt that without all of that. So
Yeah, not if you want to walk away from it, right?
Yeah.
Like that's how you live to stunt another day, is to
Yeah.
take all those precautions and
so obviously,
Spend the
do you
money.
guys do your own safety checks prior to going in? Like, are you your own? What's the word I'm thinking of?
safety guy.
Yeah, you're your own safety guy.
at the end of the day, but there's a lot of checks. Like our stunt coordinator is there. You bring in professionals who have done those things that have the knowledge, so it's not just you going, okay, yeah, I think this is going to work. It's like you bring in someone who's rolled a truck. Frank Bear's been involved with rolling vehicles before, and you have we had a welder that that had welding certifications. We know welds are good. We know welds are strong. It's not just like, oh yeah, my buddy can weld. He can put some pipes in there for you. So it's legit individuals. But at the end of the day, yeah, like you're responsible for your safety, and you can ask these other people. But if you feel like something is off, and I did on that one the first time I got into the truck, everything was pretty squared off as far as the piping goes inside, and for me, I just felt like I wanted like a gusset, something on an angle to prevent the piece right above my head from smashing down. And I'm sure it would not have, right? Like the guys knew what they were doing, but I was like, man, I just feel like there should be something right here. And so they welded that in, they put that in, and that was just, I just felt more comfortable doing that, and so that was accommodated, and everything went off great, and it didn't collapse, and not that it would have before, but that was just, I felt safer that way.
Yeah, I think that's.
Oh, I was gonna. That's why it's so important to have a good a team,
That's
stunt
what
team.
I was just about to say.
Yeah,
Literally.
yeah, and that you putting your trust into your team, like your life on the line for them. So that's why it's kind of hard to break into a group that is so tight knit, because they've grown up together. They've, as far as in the industry, and they trust each other, and they know about the person. If they're feeling off, they can sense that. They know how to work well together to make sure it's all adhesive.
No, I feel that fully, for sure. That's
cool.
really cool.
Well, cool. I think we're out of time.
Yeah.
Okay.
But thanks so much, you guys,
Totally.
for joining
Thank you,
us.
guys.
And hopefully
Thank
we'll have
you.
you again. We can reminisce some more.
It'll be
And
fun.
look
I
forward
hopefully
to
can
some
play.
stunts on the channel, guys.
Yeah,
Really
sounds
cool
good. We'll
stuff.
get
See
some
what we
stuff
can
done.
cook up with these guys. And so stay tuned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll see you on the next one.
It's like I don't figure it. Like I didn't look at the cameras hardly at all. I'm just like this the whole
You're
time.
good. We like to keep it here for the podcast.
That's fine.